Hi, and thank you for tuning into the Fight Zone podcast. In this episode, I talk with the big fighting Irish. Ryan Spillane is IMMAF European Champion, IMMAF World Champion, and IMMAF Oceania 2020 Heavyweight Champion. He won the final on IMMAF Oceania 2020 with the fastest KO for the whole competition. Follow Ryan on his Facebook page Ryan the Hulk Spillane, Instagram Ryan Spillane 1 all one word, or subscribe to his video vlog in YouTube. All links in the description. I was very sleepy while doing this episode because I had to wake up early to talk with Ryan because of the time difference with Europe. We chatted about his way to stay in shape during the current lockdown, the Wimp to Warrior program and the Out MMA rule set. I hope you enjoy this as much sleepy I was.
Why do we fight? To protect home and family. To preserve balance and bring harmony. For our kind, the true question is, what is worth fighting for? The Fight Is All podcast.
Okay, now it's better.
Perfect.
We already started talking, but I guess it was not recording. So okay, that's going to be a good fail of it. Okay, again, story.
So I started around 2015. I was playing rugby here in Munster and Cork at a kind of a fairly high level. So we have like an academy system. So you start in like clubs and you go through and your all your clubs pick like the two top players and they go out and they play and then they kind of you get at stages higher and higher. And rugby stops around May here in Ireland. So I was looking for something to do fitness wise. And an old school friend of mine was doing kickboxing in our gym, which was back then called K2C Martial Arts. And I just went down and I just did it as a fitness more thing. And I remember the first day was double legs, and me coming from a rugby background, that was my bread and butter. And on the first day, I picked up my head coach, Liam O'Griffin, and I slammed him onto the floor by accident, and we like slid underneath the shutter, and he cut his head, so he had like 2 stitches across here in his face. So I kind of had to stay after that, but it became a situation where I was training more and more, and then I kind of did less and less rugby, and then it was more MMA, and then it became a point where I just quit rugby altogether and focused MMA full on, and that was around, I think I focused fully on MMA, I think it was 2017-ish, maybe. No, sorry. I started all together in 2012, and it was 2015 I started full on. So I had my first MMA fight on like a small regional show in Dublin. I lost by 3rd round TKO. Bit of a weird stoppage. I thought the fight could have went on a bit further, but I was stopped. And then we kind of had our first kind of introduction to IMMAF. I went over to the 2015 Europeans in Birmingham. Had one fight, won that. Second fight, lost. And then from there, that became my only kind of fight. My regular fights were IMMAF tournaments. On the regional circuit here in Ireland, it became very hard for me to find fights. There wasn't many heavyweights, and I had to either go traveling to England to find fights, and I'd pull outs, and shows getting cancelled and stuff like that. So IMMAF became a regular fight all the time. So then I fought in Prague in the 2016 or 2017 Europeans, and came out against Ermin Smajcik, the former world heavyweight champion, and he knocked me out in about 13 seconds. I landed a fairly good leg kick before that. I pressed forward, my hands down, and he threw a big overhand and knocked me out. They went back to the world. Then I went to the Worlds, in the first ever Worlds in Bahrain. Won my first fight, lost second fight, so I came out of bronze with that. Then I took my own kind of personal time, and it kind of had a few losses on the regional circuit that shouldn't have happened, and I kind of semi-retired from MMA, and I moved out to Australia. I moved out to Perth, and I lived there for about 4 months. And there I kind of found the spark again, and me and Liam kind of sorted out a few problems that were wrong with me. Went back and did the Worlds again. Then I did the first Worlds in Bahrain. one fight, lost second fight, bronze medal. Then went back to Ireland. Again, loads of pullouts, loads of shows getting cancelled, and then decided to do the Europeans in Romania, and that's where I won my first ever IMMAF gold. Had 2 fights against a Finland fighter and Bulgaria. Won 2 of those fights kind of around the minute and a half mark. Then I think it was 3-4 months after that, had the second Worlds in Bahrain, won that. Had my first 2 fights were both stoppages, submission and TKO. Third fight then went 3 rounds and caught him in a leg lock. And then the 4th fight was meant to have, and then the opponent pulled out, and there was a bit of a weird circumstance there where he was medically cleared to fight, but just never showed up to the weigh-ins and kind of decided himself he wasn't going to fight, which was a bit of a pissed me off a bit because I had worked so hard and had kind of had an injury leading off the 3rd fight, and I had healed that up myself. I was ready to go, and I put a lot into that, and kind of took away from my whole glory that I never got to have that gold medal fight. Then in 2019, I had another fight with the Polish dude I went 3 rounds with in a show called Rain MMA. That was the first ever show in Dubai, and Kerr Brown, the president of IMMAF, was there, and that was a cool little spectacle. I think we're all IMMAF fighters from Ireland on it. It was Colin Maher, Azael. Azael was Team France for IMMAF, but was training in SPG Ireland. He fought on it, and Icelandic dude, who was another SPG guy, he fought in as well. He fought in IMMAF. I think he won a silver in the 2018 Worlds or 2017 Worlds, and then went back to the Worlds in 2019, and a few things went wrong, and I took kind of I took the piss, as the Irish would say, on a diet situation and train situation, and kind of I didn't really want to fight that, and I didn't have the heart, and I came out in the 2nd round against a Russian, and he had caught me with a big overhand and clean knocked me out. But that wasn't a fight. I shouldn't have lost that, and it was my own fault really. I lost that fight myself. So immediately came off that fight, sorted out my nutrition, sorted out my training, kind of brought everything back to basics, and then we were training in Ireland in start of 2020 for a fight, and I was meant to fight in the show, and I got pulled out, and then IMMAF came out of nowhere, and they were like, "Oh, do you want to come over to Australia for the Oceanic Open?" And me and Liam, we couldn't turn down that. So then I came out to fight. So it was 3 of us. There was 4 of us first. Then there came 3. So Dane and Alexander fought in the first round. Dane TKO'd stoppage in the second round, I think. And then I fought him then in the final, and I TKO'd him about 30 seconds. So that's kind of a little snip into my career.
Yeah, so you had a little up and downs, but
yeah,
the thing is like, well, that's with every fight, and that's why I think amateur circuit is so important, because it allows you to do your own mistakes. You don't want to do these any mistakes when you become professional. By my opinion, now with IMMF, if it was me, I wouldn't turn professional before I become world champion.
Yeah, so that's the big one now. It's you become a world champion at IMMAF, and then you're kind of ready to turn pro. Like, it's a big thing. We figured out here in Ireland that you could turn pro like after 5 fights on the local circuit, and you could fight, the local guys and all that, and you could go pro and fight in Ireland, England, but you'd never come up against, like a real Russian wrestler who's been wrestling his whole life, or the Kazakhstanians who were just amazing everywhere, or a Polish striker, or the Bulgarians. They're all teams that just are amazing at the amateur circuit, and you wouldn't meet them unless you're in the UFC, and you have the high-ranking Russians there, and you have Kazakhstanis and high promotions in the pro and all that, but you wouldn't meet them at your local circuit or on the pro circuit in the small, Ireland, England, and even Australia. I was talking to a few guys there as well, and they were saying you wouldn't meet those high-level guys unless you went to an IMMAF tournament. So it's good to experience that at an amateur level.
Yeah, because the main the main difference between I'm from 5 years in Australia, from Bulgaria, born in Russia. The main difference between the system of the MMA sport, like in the Western world and in the Eastern, back in Eastern Europe, is uh, back then it's very much based over like the Olympic sports, like boxing and wrestling. So like we have tournaments there. Even before IMMAF, we had a lot of amateur tournaments. Which are tournament like same structure. We have couple of fights for 1 or 2 days. Like it's the same was in amateur boxing, kickboxing. Okay, wrestling is obviously like this, and combat sambo as well. And the guys they had a lot of chance, to gain experience in the years. So because if you imagine, if you compete regularly, if you're healthy, if you compete every month or every other month, so you either compete amateur MMA or combat sambo, and you have like two, three fights, which means on the end of the year you might have like 20 fights experience. While guys here in Australia, especially because that's my overview of it, if you're good, you hardly do three fights in a year because people stop accepting fights with you, and that's a problem for the good guys. And then you start as an amateur because there's single fights that and uh, and they're like, oh, you fight with this guy or fight with that guy, but more you start winning, especially for the good guys, it becomes hard to find a opponent because no one wants to fight with them because they're already a bit more experienced. But the other guys, oh, I don't want to fight this guy, I want to fight someone else, and it becomes hard. And what happened is in the moment they become good, they start the curve of experience start to come down because they have less fights. When you have less fights, it's very hard to keep the level up, and they need it because so they're already on their path as an athlete. So that's why it's very important to have MMA tournaments because then you don't know. I know it's a bit more stressful, but the thing is like this, you have to prepare yourself overall. Like I know by myself when I was competing in combat sambo, you don't know what kind of guy you have. Like it's might be striker, might be very good grappler, might be like Uzbeki wrestler, or like you don't know. You just have to be good overall. But the thing is, once you go through this experience, you're forced to learn the sport as a whole to be complex. And I think that's very beneficial for the guys. And from the other point of view, like looking if you want to become professional, because I think the beauty of IMF is like you might stay amateur if you want, and that's good because yeah, some champions. I was talking with Mohamed Mukayev, like yesterday. Some champions, yeah, they go is focus on professional fighting, but there are people who train MMA for fun, and they have other jobs. And the thing is, by working for IMF, like I want this sport because I guess we're biased, but we both agree that's the most awesome sport in the world. It's super fun.
Yeah.
And but the big problem with why MMA is not so popular as, let's say, the most popular combo sport, which is jiu-jitsu, is because it's very hard step from training to competing. Because it's scary, like in jiu-jitsu everyone competes, white belts, blue belts, everyone's competing because you compete on your own level. The problem with MMA is like to step from training to competing is a big step. And here comes amateur circuit and IMF because yeah, you can go on your regular tournament, like your state championship, and you compete with guys on your level. Of course, when you go over this one and become like national champion and qualify for national team, yeah, go for the national team. And if you're able to win the worlds, okay, if you're the best amateur in the world, then if you want, you can turn professional. And that makes sense for me, and it's safer pathway. And I think this is also beneficial because many professionals, in the moment that they reach UFC, they're already too injured to from there. They're pretty much like on their peak or like a bit after. But IMMF champions, I reckon they're pretty safe as healthy wise, so they're still a bit away from their potential. So once as an IMMF world champion you reach UFC, you can actually become world champion because you're safe. You don't have so much injuries. The rules are a bit softer as they can be, but still very very cold. So you're actually very preserved, and you have big chance to do good in a professional sport. So I think it's awesome, and it's really good that you guys, the athletes at those days, have those chances. Unfortunately, nothing is locked down, and all competitions are cancelled. So I don't know. Hope it's not
Yeah,
gonna be too long.
I know because a few guys I was talking to were planning to go to Mexico and what was their tournament coming up? I think Mexico and South Africa. I know Mohammed was planning to go both of those.
And Kazakhstan as well. I had a guy who was preparing for Kazakhstan, and there's gonna be a Yao Championship there. So
Yeah,
now everything is cancelled.
yeah. So I hopefully kind of it could all turn around and competitions can come back up, but it's just you're bit kind of wait right now. But for myself, it's kind of I'm still trying away. I have keys to our gym, so I can go into our gym and I can just kind of hit weights and do kind of circuits and just kind of tip away. So when it does end, then I'm ready to go. Really, you can't really wait around and get fat. You have to kind of do what you can.
Well, I think now it's a challenges for the athletes, and that's gonna separate the ones who really want it from the others, because you have good excuse not to train, but in the same time, for competitive athlete, it's a good chance to get ahead, because pretty much most of people are not training. So if you're training now, you're really not getting ahead.
Mm.
And one this is all over, if you have been training, you have the edge over the others. So it's a good challenge. It's a bit mentally tough. I had times that I had to train by myself. It's really hard. You have to set a routine. You have to keep pushing, especially when you don't have like recent goal to look at. Well, yeah, it's gonna be challenging, but at the end of the day, our sport is all about challenge. So I
Yeah,
think we'll go
yeah.
over it.
Age on your own, so you kind of have to train your own a few times too. It's nice having training partners to help you out, but you're in the cage on your own.
Yeah. Well, it happened to me a couple of times. I was working as an engineer, and I work in Laos, and I was building a water power plant, and it was high in the mountains. So like the house of the company was the only house in the village. Everything was bamboo huts. There was nothing. My wife stayed with me for 2 months, but she couldn't bear it. It was too boring for her. She went in Greece, and I was there by myself. And, like there's nothing, like, and the thing in Laos is holds the record of heavily bombed country in the world. What happened is during the Vietnam War. In this mountain region, that's where the Viet Cong uh, guerrillas was hiding. So what Americans decided to do, they decided to carpet bomb the whole area, the whole country. It's a pretty small country, and there was bombing them, like carpet bombing. That's they drop bombs like all over the place for 8 years. For what was it, like 8 years, I think. 8 years, like every 10 minutes. So imagine like every 10 minutes the earth is like pretty much like exploding all over the place. So and the people there lived they went in the caves under the ground, and their whole city is under the ground. They cinema there, like kindergartens, everything. The whole white was underground. They pretty much like pushed them into the Stone Age. But the thing is, there was in this case, like you can enter. They're over the place in this city. That was it. It was not actually, the city is under the ground. Above the city is just village, just huts now. Like there's nothing is going on. They're trying to rebuild now. So I found one of these rooms in the caves, like set up small mats and make a bamboo dummy, and was just like drilling
Yeah,
stuff. Because I was go crazy, like just training by myself. Just yeah, it's crazy. It's very funny when I was leaving. Um, uh, there was a lady who was taking care for the house, and she found my dummy. She thought that's my goat. She got scared, didn't want to touch it. It was a bit awkward. No, that's my graphic dummy. But they don't speak English, they thought it's kind of idol or something. Because I didn't want to scan it, just chucking it into the in the cupboard. And then she was cleaning. She found it, like, voodoo. Yeah, crazy times. Uh, you're very tall. Uh, you you
Six,
you
6'5", 6'5" and a bit and a half-ish, I think.
Yeah, I was watching you, and remember the Irish guy that came to greet you? He's a friend of mine, and he's pretty tall guy as well, on Oceania. And
Oh,
I was
his
Shane,
name
Shane.
Shane. I don't know. Anyway,
Anyway, so yeah, he's pretty tall guy, and like he was like, yeah, just two stairs above. Yeah, tell me about your work a bit. It's pretty cool.
sorry, what was the question?
Tell me about your channel on YouTube. It's pretty cool. You're
Oh
making cool
yeah.
videos.
So Liam, our head coach, was kind of pushing us for kind of think outside the box to kind of push um our like brands. So I had bought a camera over Christmas and I decided to start getting back. I used to make them like 2 or 3 years ago with a GoPro. So I got a better camera, so I decided to make them, and I kind of want to show what it's like to be a fighter, just kind of the ins and outs of a training camp and all that kind of stuff. And I'm enjoying right now. It's kind of I've challenge right now is kind of to keep videos going up because I'm not training as much. So I'm thinking of ideas. The next video I'm going to make is I'm going to react to my old fights and kind of break them down and kind of go through all the stuff and all that. So I think on the next one I'm going to have one on a diet, and it's just something different that I can push the brand of Ryan Spillane out there instead of just having like an Instagram story or Facebook stuff going up. It's different. It's not many fighters doing it, so different, I guess.
It's pretty cool. I watched a couple of them. And yeah, they're cool. They're very fresh.
Yeah, the
It's
Australian cool because it loads of footage.
Yeah, because it's the fighters have different approach on that. Some people wants to keep everything they do like kind of hidden. And with those stuff, you kind of open, like open the public to your preparation and to what you do. You're just like whatever, just showing off.
Yeah, it's kind of people always see they see like 6 minutes of a fighter, or not. They don't see like the 8-10 weeks leading up to that they train to get up to that. They just see a winner and loser. They don't see all the progress someone made to get to that point of the cage. Like, so that's what I'm trying to get across, and it's hard enough, but trying best to get that across now.
Yeah, you're very right. People actually think for our sport, oh, these guys go for like these 10 minutes, like 15 minutes in the cage, but it's a competition is not 10 minutes. Competition is like 3-4 months with all the
Mm-hmm.
preparation and stuff. I remember when I was in the university and I was competing actively, and one of my professor was, it was thing, what I was doing, it was an exam or something. I was like a bit bashed because I was after competition, and he was like, oh. Are you the guy that's funny? Because at that time they were showing kickboxing on TV and stuff, so like they kind of know me. And I say, yeah, I'm the guy who's funny. Well, everyone in university know that I'm the guy who's funny. I was doing pro fights at that time, and he was like, oh, how long you fight? And I was fighting mostly K1, so that's 3 minutes rounds, so that's like 12 minutes. I said it's about 12 minutes. And he said, oh, that's easy. I was like, no, it's not easy. You get that. Oh, he's like, how time you can get for 12 minutes?
A whole lot of different 12 minutes.
Yeah, these 12 minutes can be long time.
Be like 2 days.
Oh yeah, so much thing happens. So it's very hard to explain this perspective to people who never been in the sport. Like it's just they really run slow. Like I think like your brain is working like on super speed because you're in danger and
Yeah.
your concentration is so in that so many things happen in your brain. Like you see a punch fine, you say, oh, you should go out, should go in, or should I shoot? It's just like so many stuff, and then all this thinking process happening while the punch is flying to your head. Then you take decision, you go to do something. It just so many stuff happens in your brain. It's crazy.
Mm. It's mental. It's always a hard feeling to describe. Being in the cage and that's why I think Wimp the Warrior is amazing, and how you can take regular people who, can train for 6 months and then experience that whole, the adrenaline of the cage, the crowd roaring on, the feeling of losing or winning. It's the way it's the, how to describe it. It's the best way to show someone what it's like without, yeah. The Wimp the Warrior program it's really good at showing people, what a fighter goes through in kind of a short amount of time.
Yeah, and it's a really awesome experience because whatever happens in a fight, I would never get this experience back. It just when you get into a fight is you put your mask down. You're the one who you are, like, because to be honest, like everyone in Everyday's Wife wear kind of mask. We kind of present ourselves in a certain way that we want to be, but in a fight everything is stripped off. It's you and the other guy, and you're who you are. And by coaching and training now, like already like a bit of years behind it, you can see the character of a guy while he's fighting. It's it's this guy's aggressive, this guy's more calm, and this guy's a bit sneaky. You can see that when someone is fighting. Your character is very stripped off while you're fighting. You're very exposed. What was did you went through Wimp to Warrior, or you just
No, I was so I'm one of the coaches down here for the corporate door. So we've had 6-7 seasons at the stage. I was kind of one of the head coaches for the first 2, and then kind of stepped back, and then I coach regularly here and there, but not all the time. But I went through the full program coaching with season 1 and season 2.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. We was about to start Wimp to Warrior here in Gold Coast, and I was going to be one of the coaches, mostly for wrestling and grappling. But for some reason we couldn't get enough people here, so they postponed. So I don't know what's going on for the moment.
Yeah, we kind of had our first season had we had 16 competitors, and then it slowly got shorter and shorter, and now we've got a huge cast now for the seasons. But it's hard to get people to train the 6M. It's a tough one.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Like the problem here on the Gold Coast, because live on the Gold Coast, is everyone is laid back, surfing, and it's a bit harder to put people into this and fight. So it's different. I think in our there's more fight culture, and maybe that's why it's different mentality. So you say you're coaching a bit. Do you coaching in the are you coaching at the moment, or you're just concentrating on your own preparation at the moment?
I coach a few classes in our own gym in SPG. I kind of don't have a regular class here or there. If someone can't make it, if one of our jiu-jitsu coaches can't make a class, I would jump in and coach there. Or if Liam, our head coach, needed help with one of our kickboxing classes, I jump in. I used to coach regularly. I used to have a class on a Monday at a certain time, but I kind of stepped away from that because I would do a lot of traveling to Dublin to train with John Kavanagh up in SPG up in Dublin. So if I had to go away at a certain day, if I had classes, I would have to reschedule and stuff. So I kind of I step in and help if someone's late for a class or something like that. I don't have a regular class anymore, really.
Mm-hmm. And about your preparation, I saw you winning by striking here in Australia, but I also saw you have I think you have 2 wins by leg walks and stuff.
I have toe hold finish. I have 2 straight ankle lock finishes and 1 heel hook finish. The heel hook finish was in the show in Dubai. It was like a semi-pro rule set, and we allowed heel hooks, and so I call them the heel hook there. So 4 leg lock finishes, and then I've loads more leg lock finishes in jiu-jitsu competitions and stuff. So my go-to is leg locks.
Oh, you like leg locks? Well, I mentioned that because always coming from some background, I like those stuff, and they say, oh, I was looking in your stats and like, oh, that's a tall guy who's doing leg walk. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think we had Frank Meir down in our gym. Frank was here for a seminar just before I left for Australia, and he was saying not many heavyweights do leg locks and stuff. So
No, not at all. It's actually pretty rare.
But even submissions, I think, because heavyweights are normally they stand, they get a big TKO, and that's it. Like, so I kind of like showing the more technical side. So I have an omoplata finish on my record as well, which I'm extremely proud of. I think I'm like I think there's only 3 heavyweights in professional and amateur who pulled one off, and I was the first at any weight class to pull it off for IMMAF. I think I was the first toe hold for IMMAF as well, and I'm pretty sure I still am the only toe hold. I'm not sure, but I think I am.
Yeah, the toe hold through in IMMAF is a bit weird because it has to be straight toe hold. You cannot like twist the ankle.
You can reap the leg because I've asked Mark Goddard at every tournament. So you're allowed to reap the leg, so you can actually bend the whole leg over. So you can pretty much do a bending one. You just can't go for the heel hook. That's the only thing you're not allowed.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
That's the only thing you can't do.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. That was what I know for the rules as well. It's you can reap the leg, but you cannot really twist the ankle. Yeah. So when you train, do you train overall like MMA as a complete class, or you have separate days that you concentrate on striking or grappling or wrestling?
I would do a lot of my striking in the morning. So I would kind of do striking, and then I would finish with either a bit of strength and conditioning or stretching or all that. The match of the morning is because I kind of have my own free time with my own head coach, so we do a lot of technical drills, striking wise, and all that, and pad work. And then at the night, then we have a fight team class every night, and we kind of either focus on wrestling for MMA or jiu-jitsu for MMA. We kind of don't do like raw wrestling or raw jiu-jitsu. We have those classes in the gym, but for our fight team, we kind of just really stick to the stuff that works for MMA. So we have one night for wrestling, one night for jiu-jitsu, then we have our sparring class, and then for striking, then we have a kickboxing class and all that. So we kind of focus on MMA as a whole, but we break it down into either wrestling, cage wrestling, and jiu-jitsu.
How many days you train a week?
I would train 5 to 6 days, and then have one kind of rest day, and then it'd be kind of 2 sessions a day, and then kind of one day, then would be kind of one session.
So it's about 11, 12 sessions a week. Yeah, cool. Something slipped my mind. I was thinking about something. Oh shit! It's early morning here. It's not like it's not evening time for you, and you're alright. But I was just waking up. It's it's still like having a bit of coffee in a big cup. So okay, but at that situation here now, like when the gym is closed, how you structure your training? Obviously, you cannot do much partner work. So what's your escape of that? How you go around to keep training?
I'm using this time to really focus on strength and conditioning. It's kind of a thing I kind of lacked previously, so I'm really kind of nailing down that kind of element of it. I can work by car too, so we have a row in our gym, and I'm just kind of beating the miles down on that. And I'm doing a lot of striking stuff on my own, so bag work, and I do a lot of drill work with cones. So I lay cones out, and I have certain drills, working on jabs, check hooks, all that kind of stuff. Kind of not really doing partner stuff right now because a lot of our guys, they're probably still working, and they could have it and stuff. So it's kind of partner drills are kind of laying off, and I'm kind of focusing this time more on myself and focusing on the strength and conditioning side of it and getting as much drills as I can done on my own. It's hard, but I'm pushing through, and I'm getting a good. Like I just did a bit of circuit class there before this on my own. And I set up a load of circuits. I got a really good sweat on, and it was a lot of kind of kind of wrestling kind of techniques down as one circuit, other circuits were focused on ground and pound, and there were striking ones, and there was kind of box jumps and rower and all that. It was a good workout. It's hard not having partners and not doing jiu-jitsu and wrestling and stuff, but when it's all over, then I can lake back into that then.
Everyone now have to train like a monks, like these old kung fu movies when the guy goes in the mountain and trains by himself and and then comes back. yeah, it's weird time. So strength conditioning for heavyweights is a bit tricky thing because of the heavy bones. So how you structure if you wanna lay this one out, like how many days you actually do like strength, how many days you do explosive training, and how many days you dedicate to conditioning, and how you probably do this leading to a fight, because it's easy to not easy, but let's say it's more popular how you work with someone who is a bit more towards the white weights, because they can take a lot of damage and jumps, which is not always the case with the heavy athletes. Heavy athletes have hard time, to push them running on heavy, so it's not good for their joints as well. How is your personal approach, and for your coaches about that?
I'm kind of, it's a hard one. Like for the last fight, I used to have strength and conditioning coaches, and for the last camp, I kind of focused more on the skills element of it. And the way I kind of focused it was I would do a session in the morning, a kind of more technical session. So kind of 5-5 in the pads, some drills before and after. And then I would alternate days. So I would do one day would be just cardio, mainly the rower. I live in the rower for this camp. Or I went to use an assault bike or a ski urger. And then the other day then I would focus on strength, be kind of very compound stuff, so like squats, deadlifts, can't think of it right now. I do like RDLs, split squats, all that kind of stuff. Really kind of basic movements, just to kind of just kind of build up that strength. I'm not qualified strength and conditioning coach. I'm kind of doing this all by guesswork. Really, I kind of need to get someone. That's my next plan, is to get someone who actually knows what I'm about and get a detailed plan together. That's what I'm going to do for the next camp and all that. But right now, I'm just kind of tipping away myself, and kind of, we know kind of bits from being around other transition coaches, and we have a few in our gym who kind of have given me a bit of help. But it's more just kind of, I'm learning myself just what exercises are tough, and it's a lot of Googling really. It's something I shouldn't really be, leaving the chance. I did it for the last camp. Next camp now, I'm going to take someone on properly and guide me really. So that's the next thing for me really.
Yeah, that's the case with many amateur athletes. They kind of because in the sessions, you have limited time with your coach, and the coach is, of course, it's just not other choice. They have to concentrate on your development skill-wise, your techniques, your sparring, your partner work. So you kind of have to figure out your strength conditioning yourself, and it's not easy for amateur fighter to get another coach on board, because you guys not everyone has the opportunity to do that. And they had to do a lot of work by yourself. So yeah, it's interesting everyone's approach about that. Everyone have to find his own way, especially with the big guys, because the strength conditioning days is very tricky. It's not like white weight. You cannot, like, white weights can pretty much like Thai guys, let them run every morning, they'll be fine.
Yeah, I've had enough ankle and knee injuries that, like, it's kind of, I can't really put a lot of weight on my legs. Like, I can't really jump around the place and all that. My legs go either way, and it could be game over.
Yeah. I was running a lot. Actually, I started doing grappling because of running, because I hated it. I was doing kickboxing, and I'm lightweight. I was competing on 67-71 weight class. So 67 I started. Then when I got a bit older, more muscular, I had to fight in 71. But the thing is, like, as a kickboxer, you run every morning. That's it. You go. We had like this big complex there where the gym was. You go in the stadium, make your road work, and then do a bit of pad work or like a bit of bag work, and that was the morning session. So, and I was so sick of this doing for 10 years. Just like I was hating when I see the red cover of the stadium. I see, oh, like it's just another morning. Just hate because it's boring. Running is very boring, and there was a sambo section there, and they was training in the morning. And I popped out there once and said, "Oh, guys, can I like just join you because like I'm sick of running?" And that's why I actually started grappling. And I didn't tell my kickboxing coach. And when he figured out that I actually go to wrestle there, he's like, "Oh, like stop doing this thing. You start doing clinches, and it's like it mess up your game." He was hating it. And then when he actually forbid me to do that before competition because he said, "Oh, you start clinching too much." Maybe he was right from his perspective, but I was kind of get hooked because grappling is very addictive, and I start hiding from him and going out to row with the guys and trying not to clinch in the gym so he doesn't get pissed off. Yeah, it was very fun. That's why I actually started like mixing up, but just by chance, just because I was super bored from running. I hate the running every morning.
Yeah, no, I hate running as well. I can't do it at all. That's why I found the rower really good. It was kind of it was cardio that I could do that wasn't as boring, really.
Yeah, yeah. As a kickboxer, it's just a stunt. You just run. You run pretty much every morning. Most of your conditioning is also like based on running, because the nature of the sport is very explosive. You don't need so isometric and muscle endurance like it is in MMA sport. So it's just standard at that time was just running. Like you do running on rounds, long distance running, sprints, but it's so damn running. It's so boring. Yeah, I hold huge respect for the Olympic athletes in these basic disciplines, running and stuff. Imagine if you have to train for this. It's just so mentally tough. You just run all the time, and that goes for 10 years before you reach Olympics and stuff. It's so
Mental.
mentally tough. It's just
Mm.
yeah. We had in this complex because this was like led from communistic times. They had all sports together. It's big complex. We had the some of the Bulgarian Olympic runners. Like Yvette Wall was trained there. She's very famous champion now in Bulgaria for short distance running. And these guys and girls, they're running every day, sprints running, and a bit of conditioning and weight training. And I reckon, when they're doing weight training, it's like, yeah, fun.
The
It
break.
was, yeah, it's so mentally tough. That's why I like so much the combo sport, because every training is fun. Like it's different. Like not, it's very hard to know two sessions to be like same as each other. Every day happens something else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's every day is a new day kind of thing. You're never doing the same thing. Well, you're always doing the same thing kind of over and over again, but it's a kind of a change. One day it could be striking, next day it could be wrestling, jiu-jitsu, sparring, training conditioning. That's what I found was the best thing. I could never go into a gym and just lift weights the whole time. That's all I'm doing. So that's why I love martial arts.
Yeah, and also like one day your training partner may quote you in something. They say, "Oh, this guy caught me like this." He calls you second time. Oh, damn, he's getting good at this, and they try to figure out how to escape from that. And you grow and you think, then you figure out how to counter him. Then he has to do the same. And just go back and forth. It's very interesting. But that's why I think that this sport has to be like more popular, because it's way more entertaining than any other sport. Even if you guys are champions and you're good, but even for the other people like who train this for fun, it's very entertaining sport. It's fun, and it's way more interesting even if you're just fan of the sport to watch a fight if you know what's going on,
Mm.
because now MMA is so popular, and you have all these people watching MMA, and when you hear them commenting, it's like, bro, just go train a bit.
Yeah, I feel like the IMMAF pathway will bring a lot more casual fans into sport, and hopefully when it becomes Olympic sport, then it'll bring more people into sport. And then you have the whole cadets and the youth system as well, which is fantastic. It's really up in the sport, and it's fantastic to see.
Yeah. Do you guys have SBG is pretty good, pretty big gym. Do you guys have some youths competing in the youth rules?
In our own gym in Cork, we have I think we had 4 youths or cadets go over to Rome last year. They were all like killers, and we thought they were all going to be shoo-ins for gold medals. And they went over there, and they actually had really, really tough fights, and none the medal, but they were like they learned valuable experiences, and they're all, a few of them kind of got little part-time jobs and saved up so they can get ready for the next tournament, and they all had their money ready for Rome this year, and probably going to be cancelled now, so it's a bit of a bad experience, but they're all ready for the next tournament, and it's huge to see, like, because when I first started, that there was nothing like that. We had like small shows where you would fight, proper amateur rule sets, like, which is dangerous for a youth, but the new cadet system is really, really cool.
Yeah, I really like it as well, because it allows them to compete often and a lot. And these guys are getting good. While you guys was fighting on Oceania, I was managing the out competition in the other room where he was actually warming up.
Ian, me and my coach Liam were watching that. It was actually really cool.
Yeah, and that's the third one we're doing here in Australia. And the first one was, the guys was kind of figuring out. But now on the third one, like, most of the guys has already went through 2-3 competition. You see how they adapt the rules, and they start playing the rules. Because on the first one, pretty much everyone was, playing a bit awkwardly without the headshots. But now in the third comp, we can see them. They actually adapt to the rules, and they start being tricky, and they start, that's cool, like these guys, they adapt very fast. This competition was nice, you see like some of them already fought each other a couple of times. They're going back and forward, so it was nice to see how this is developing, and I think that this has a big future, so it's good.
Definitely, it definitely will bring a lot more people into the sport, like, because you can have kids who can train, and instead of waiting until they're 17 or 18 to make their amateur debut, they can train away and learn their craft and have competitions where they can become world champions at 12, 13, 14, 15. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's the most important. They get comfortable with the rule set. It's not a jiu-jitsu competition because it's refereed as MMA. They have to keep their control, keep top position. 16, 17, they have ground and pound in the body, so they have to keep pin free their hands so they can mark ground and pound. So this you can easily transfer once you know how to keep a good pin and free your limb to land strikes. You can easily transfer these strikes to the head once you get into adult rules. So it's really good, and I'm really into that. I was working hard for all those 3 ones, but yeah, I'm happy from the results, and I think these guys are getting really good, and looking forward to when this is over to the outcomes. It's going to be very interesting. See them competing on the world championship. It's going to be very interesting how the different countries are figuring out the rules there. It's interesting. It was challenging for me as a coach. One of my guys actually won this one on Oceania, the out ones. And when we started first with him, I was like, I never fought this way. He was always I was trying to figure out, and I was actually watching a lot of Kyokushin karate videos just to figure out how to put the striking together without attacking the head.
Yeah,
it's very, very challenging. It was challenging, but in the same time, it was fun. The coach really have to think for something different. And yeah, it's cool. All right, brother. So hard to talk about next plans because we don't know what's going on.
It's a hard one, really, but I think my days as an amateur kind of are numbered, really. I feel like it'll be a pro debut fairly soon.
Yeah, looking forward towards pro debut once eventually this is over.
Yeah.
Well, you achieved good results. You're European champion, world champion. I think you went through the mill, so yeah.
I've experienced everything as an amateur, so I've a fairly terrible amateur record, but that doesn't matter. When I turn pro, that disappears, and then I can really kind of perfect my craft then.
Well, I think that's the right pathway. Once you go to amateur circuit, you become world champion, like win couple tournaments, make the mistakes, learn how it works for you, because it's super individual. Even you have a good coach, but hopefully everyone has, but it's very individual. Even if your coach is guiding you, you're still making some mistakes during preparation. You have to learn how the whole thing work for you. So, and once you figure out during the amateur circuit, and you become successful, you win, a couple of big comps. I think that's the right pathway. I think you don't have anything to do between professionals if you haven't reached that level. It's pointless. Now, what's the point to make your mistake on while you're professional and then get hurt? My understanding to become professionals, you want to be world champion for professionals, right? So what you're doing there, if you're not champion within amateurs, you're just not ready yet. One last question: what is worth fighting for you?
Sorry, what was the question?
What's your reason to fight? What's worth fighting for?
Legacy. So, I'd love to. With the UFC heavyweight belt, it's always known as the baddest man alive. So, right now it's Stipe Miocic as the baddest man on the planet kind of thing. I'd love to, if that's me winning, a UFC belt and the Bellator belt and the One Championship belt, and kind of creating that legacy where I am the baddest man on the planet. That's a nice title to have. That's the title I want.
Well, with all my heart, I wish to you, brother, and wish you all the best. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much for the interview.
Cheers. See you around, brother.
See you.
Stay safe. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Fight Zone podcast. Subscribe in your podcast app to receive the next episodes, where I talk with other champions and officials after IMMAF Oceania 2020. Stay strong and stay safe. This episode is brought to you by Tambourine Spring Water. Visit tambourinSprings.com.au or call 0434 952 449 to order your water today. Tambourine Spring Water is a local business situated on Mount Tambourine. Their water is bottled at the source on their 163-meter deep privately owned spring. The spring provides access to a free-flowing underground stream, which is where their premium quality spring water comes from. It then goes through a very strict sediment and UV filtration process to ensure the final product remains both consistent and of brightest quality. It is then bottled and stored until it leaves for the client's home or office. Most water companies in Australia all cart their water from a contractor before being processed and then bottled, which leaves lots of room for contamination and foreign bodies entering the water. In Tambourine Springs, it's a matter of minutes from when the water is extracted from the spring into a bottle, which is then sealed and stored into a cool, dark environment. The spring water is naturally bacteria-free and passes all quality tests prior to filtration. Despite that, Tambourine Springs water have one of the strictest filtration systems, so there is no room for error when it comes to your drinking water. They do not add any chemicals whatsoever to the drinking water. The only thing the filters are doing is removing sand and sediments that comes naturally with the water. The three-stage system is there to ensure no bacteria have found its way into the water. When you purchase your water from Tambourine Spring Water, you know you will receive the best spring water Southeast Queensland has to offer from a local family on a mission to provide the best service and quality. Water companies are often blamed with a good reason for polluting the environment with plastic bottles. This is not the case with Tambourine Spring Water. Your water is delivered to your door in 50 or 20-liter bottles, and your used bottles are collected, disinfected, and refilled again, so zero plastic waste goes into the environment. Me and my family are also using Tambourine Springs water way before they decided to sponsor this podcast. By experience, once you drink real spring water for a while, you cannot drink from the sink anymore or any commercial waters from the supermarket because it smells bad and has bad taste. Ridiculously enough, in Australia you can mix 50% of the water with tap water and label and sell it as spring water. This is not the case with Tambourine Springs water. I personally know the family who owns it, and I have been numerous times in their small factory to see my water being bottled straight from the spring after the filtration process. Majority of my team also purchase their drinking water from Tambourine Springs water. Find out more at tambourinnesprings.com.au or call 0434 952 449 to order your water today.